Hello. Hey. Hello everyone. Hey. Cool. Oh, it's nice to see you all. Thanks for coming. Um, Should we get started? Hello and welcome to Town at Eastbourne's live making workshop. My name is Amy and this is the 5th artist-led making workshop in which we are going to explore weaving with things that we can find around the home. Hello, welcome everyone. So last week we explored making our own ink and our own drawing tools, and in previous sessions we've also explored squashing Play-Doh, spinning wind chimes and floating bubble snakes. So if any of those sound appealing, you can check out the recordings on this Instagram account or Town at Eastbourne's website or Facebook. They're also making guides as well. Hello everyone, a big hello if you came along to previous sessions, and welcome if you're just joining us for the first time. I'll be here for one more session next week, which you're all very welcome to come along to too. So, these workshops are part of the hashtag Makeshift Studio project on Instagram. I guess, it's lovely to see you all. Hello! A bit of information whilst people are joining. The hashtag Makeshift Studio project on Instagram is a making challenge set by the Towner team each week. And it uses basic materials found around the home. This week's making prompt was Twist and Turn Things, inspired by an amazing piece by Eric Revilius. So slotting in with that theme, we are going to try out some weaving together. I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen the hashtag Makeshift Studio provocations and the prompts on this Instagram account before, I definitely recommend checking them out. Just sort of in terms of like being inspired by objects around the home, they've like really helped me to kind of relook at things and see things in a different way. Cool. So we do this every week. But just a reminder, everyone is welcome to take part, but please, if you're a child, ask an adult to work with you. Ask permission if you're borrowing things, and when you are choosing extra materials that aren't detailed on the list, please don't use any sharp, precious or breakable things. Hello! Feel free to use the comment section if you have any questions or suggestions, or if you want to start a bit of a conversation around what we're making. You're very welcome to. Okay, so hopefully you'll have had a look at the materials list needed if you'd like to make along today. If you'd like to just watch, that's totally fine. I'm going to go through the materials list now. Don't worry if you haven't had a chance to gather your bits, you can. So for our weaving workshop today, we are going to need a bit of cardboard for making our looms. So I've got quite a big bit that I'm going to cut down later. We are going to need a glue stick. We're going to need material like either old bed sheets, pillowcases, scraps of fabric. You can use bits of ribbon and offcuts of things. I'm going to use a lot of plastic bags for this workshop today. Just make sure that any material that you are using, it's okay to cut it up. So just double check before, if you're a child, please do ask an adult before you start using it. You can even use like bits of paper or wrapping, or just like any textures you can find. It's totally up to you. We're going to need some strong string. So I've got some party ribbon. There's like some strong yarn, bits like that. So something quite strong. And we're going to need a pair of scissors. Okay. Optional but helpful things to have handy is a ruler, a pencil and some tape. So I'll just, if you don't have these bits, don't worry, but they're just quite handy to have. Okay, so there are sort of 3 parts to today. We're going to make our loom, that's the first thing, out of our cardboard. We're going to make our weft, so all the bits, your old bed sheets, your fabric, your plastic bags, all of those bits we're going to make into strips for our weft, and we are going to weave. So, has anyone done any weaving before? Hello, if you joined us. I confess I'm not an expert, but we'll figure it out together. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our loom. So, with our cardboard, this is quite a big bit, so I'm going to cut it down. So it's up to you how big or small you want your loom to be. If you're not really sure, I'd recommend about like an A4 size. Oh, we just got a comment saying that someone's woven before. Excellent. Hello. So about A4 or A5 sizes are quite nice to start off with. I've made a quite small loom before. This is maybe A5 size, but I'm going to go for something sort of in between. So just use my ruler and my pencil to mark it out, or you can sort of freestyle it if you want. And I'm going to carefully cut out along those lines, so I've got a nice rectangle for my loom. If you're a child and cutting cardboard can sometimes be a bit tricky, so please do ask an adult and just take your time, just take it easy. It's not essential, but perhaps just to note the corrugation, so like the lines of the cardboard, I tend to have them going downwards, but it's not essential, but it does help me when I mark out things later on. Hello, if you just joined us. So we're just cutting out a cardboard rectangle for our loom, for our weaving workshop. Cool. So if you've got a really massive bit of cardboard, I think you can be quite ambitious and you can just make a massive loom. That'd be great. Cool. So we've got one sort of in between A4 and A5 size bit of cardboard. It's a rectangle. The lines are going downwards. And then the next step that we need to do is we're going to need to cut 2 more strips of cardboard. So they need to be, or it's really helpful if they're the same width as the rectangle that you just cut out for the base of your loom. This isn't essential, this step, so if you haven't got enough cardboard, don't worry at all. You can just skip this bit and you're sort of all ready to go. But these 2 strips of cardboard are going to help us just help our fingers out when we weave. So I've used a ruler and I've just measured so I know that it's the same width. Hello. And I've just used the thickness of the ruler. It doesn't really matter how thick it is. That's about 4 centimetres, I think. I think on the making guide it says something similar. So I'm going to cut out those 2 strips. And it's probably worth saying that this is an activity that we're going to start today, but not necessarily finish. Because these workshops run for about 25 minutes, half an hour, so we're going to make a good start on our woven pieces, and then I'll show you how to finish. But I guess it's just one of those things that you can take as much time as you want over, especially if you've got a much bigger weave. If you finish it in the time, then that's great as well, but there is absolutely no rush. So now we've got our 2 strips of cardboard, the same width as our loom, and we're just going to stick them down, one at the top, one at the bottom, not exactly at the top. I'd probably say about an inch from the top or so about there. I'm guesstimating, but if you want to use a ruler, you can. So So I'm going to squiggle some glue on it, rub it down, and again for the bottom. So we've got the base of our loom. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to measure out or guesstimate. My favourite thing to do because I'm a bit impatient when it comes to making, but if you'd like to, you can use a ruler for this part. We are going to make our grooves at the top, the very top, and at the very bottom of our loom. It depends on how dense you want your weave to be. So I recommend, I've been going for about between 1 centimetre or 2 centimetres sort of apart. So you can use a ruler if you want, but this is when the corrugation going downwards sort of helps. I'm just going to mark on my cardboard about 1 centimetre long using my pencil. I'm going to mark every other bit of corrugation, if that makes sense, so in between those bits. And I've got 5 so far, but the number you have depends on how wide your loom is, and it's helpful but not essential to go for an even number. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to do exactly the same at the bottom, and I'm just going to make sure that it's more or less in line with the ones at the top. Cool, so how many did I say? I said 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great. Hello if you're joining us. We are just marking out our grooves at the top and the bottom of our cardboard loom, and we're going to carefully cut along those slits. So take your time, especially if you've got a much bigger loom, you'll have more slits to cut out. Cool. Hello, welcome. So those are our slits at the top that have been marked out and cut out. Just going to very carefully sort of ease them apart, and I'll do the same at the bottom. Great. So I've got an even number, I've got 12 at the top, 12 at the bottom, and they all sort of align with each other. So my groove at the top, if I follow it with my finger all the way down, is going to align with my groove at the bottom. Here's one I made earlier, and it has slightly less grooves because it's much smaller. It's really up to you. So this one is more of a wide loom. So if you're making along, if you have any questions, feel free to use the comment section. Cool. So the next step is we are going to attach our warp, which are the long sort of downwards bits of string, to our loom. So the reason why, I think I mentioned it earlier, that this has to be fairly strong. So I am going to use party ribbon. I tried using a little bit of this nice soft green wool, and because there's quite a lot of tension going on when you weave, I found that it was breaking. So if you have something quite strong, like strong string or party ribbon, that's perfect, or even like this kind of ribbon is great. You just need quite a lot of it. If you don't have this, don't worry at all. You can make your warp, so the things that attach to your board, out of plastic bags and things. So that's the next step. So you could just hold on if you don't have like strong ribbon right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to tie a knot at the very end. And I'm going to slide it through that first first slit. So the knot is at the back, and if the front is the side with these two slits, these two little bits of cardboard. So the knot is at the back, and I'm going to pull the ribbon all the way to the front. Doesn't matter if it lies flat or not. I'm going to travel it across around the back, and then I'm going to go back up again. And this might take a bit of time depending on how many grooves you've got. I'm going to do this as speedily as possible. And it starts to resemble, as you go along, it starts to kind of resemble like an instrument or something that maybe you might be able to play with these strings. If you're finding that your slits aren't long enough to hold down your warp, then you can just go ahead and cut them a bit deeper. Maybe that one's not. And the back pattern should be, it reminds me a little bit of a castle. So the back should have this kind of, the top of a castle, if that makes sense. That kind of effect going. So we've just got a couple more that we're going to do. And I will show you some that I made earlier in a second. We've gotten to the end. Phew. I'm going to cut off this bit here, and I'm going to tie a knot at the other end. So this is what the front should look like, kind of instrument that you can play, and the back should sort of be like that castle, top of a castle turret shape. And then if you have tape, you can just tack down the two end bits, because that's quite useful so it doesn't wobble all over the place. Great. We're going to put our loom to one side because I'm just going to let it rest for a minute. And we are going to create our weft. So using either your plastic bags or your scraps of fabric or your bed sheets or anything that you are planning to use today, or if you have ribbon, it's already cut up into a strip, but I'm going to just cut up my plastic bags into strips. Okay, so I've got an arrangement of things. So I've got some tissue paper, which is quite useful. I've got some bin bags as well. I'm going to show you, just going to go ahead and cut up this orange bag. To get the most out of the material, I'm going to cut along the sides, along the bottom, and kind of unfold it so it's like a book. And then I'll cut it into strips. And this just speeds up the process a little bit. And then cutting along the bottom. Okay, brilliant. So now I can open it up like a book. And then I'm going to fold it in half this way. And then fold it in half again. And then I'm going to very slowly cut some strips out. The strips that I've been cutting so far have been about like an inch wide, but again, it's up to you. It depends on how, sort of what kind of weave you want really. So if you want it really, really thick and you can twist them, that's totally up to you. So this way of cutting just speeds things up a little bit. Oh, I missed a bit. And it might be a case of just taking your time, because some material might be a lot thicker than others in terms of getting used to cutting through it. So if you need a hand from an adult, please do ask. So we should have these kind of long strips that are our weft. Brilliant. Great. Thank you for all the comments and emojis. It's good to hear how you're doing. Okay, so at this point, it's up to you. I've just been experimenting a little bit with folding paper to make it a little bit stronger. So you can have a go at folding, you can have a go at twisting bits together if you've got different colours and textures. This is just like a paper bag twisted with a plastic one. You've got three different colours. And I've also experimented a little bit with so many things, with braiding. If you know any really fancy plaits, you could also braid bits of your weft. And also just playing around with like connecting bits up. So I've just like connected up some different ribbons and bits of plastic to make a strange sort of long pom-pom. I think I'll use this. You can be as experimental as you want. You could just use like the strips of plastic bag as they are. Great. So I'm going to show you a basic weave. Oh, where did I put my loom? The big question. Okay, here we go. So, if you've done weaving before, which I think a few of you have, then you'll probably know what to do. It might be quite intuitive. So I'm going to try and demonstrate this. I'm going to knot one of my strips of weft onto a bit of warp, and then the pattern that I'm going to follow is just under and then over the next one, and then under over the next one, under over the next one, under over the next one, under over the next one. We've got a really lovely comment, thank you, that says great colours. And actually, some plastic bags come in like amazing colours, don't they? So here we go, and I'm just pulling the warp through. This little barrier here helps you kind of check in, so that could be the top. If it goes over, don't worry. And then when you get to the end, like our makeshift studio provocation, we're going to twist and turn it back round, and we're going to go under this one, over, under, over, under, over. Hello if you just joined us. Under, over. So in a sense you kind of get into a rhythm after a while, and it becomes quite meditative doing it. Oh, which way am I going? This way. And then again. So when you've got to the end, you just pull it through and then use your fingers to push it up. So the pattern that, with a basic weave, the pattern that emerges is sort of like a brick pattern. Oh, thanks for the comments, guys. And I don't know if it helps. The making guide does have a little diagram to show you if you kind of get confused. But the basic weave is just under, over, so it's sort of flowing through your warped bits. I'm going to show you another weaving technique. I confess I'm not a pro weaver, so if anyone else has any other techniques or any other suggestions or things that they're doing or techniques, please do share with us in the comment section. I'm going to show you one called a sumac weave, which is more like a loop. So instead of going over and under, we are going to loop it. So this is a diagram. So the pink bits are your warp, and then you've got the black looping round. Oh, brilliant. So you've just seen a comment that says that someone's cutting up old t-shirts, which is fantastic. And old t-shirts can sometimes have quite a lot of stretch to it, so your weave is going to be really, really nice and soft. That's brilliant. Again, it's one of those things, like, take as much time as you need at each stage. There's absolutely no rush. Okay, so I'm going to attempt doing this sumac weave. So it's going to be a looping over and under. Looping over and under. And if anything I've learned from weaving, because I'm not that familiar with the techniques, it's all about sort of perseverance. So it may not look like, it's not like an instant, like, whoa, I'm finished in a second. It takes a little bit of time, which has definitely been a really nice learning curve for me. Cool, so you've got a kind of nice looping going on. Brilliant. And I'll show you some examples that are a little bit further along for inspiration. So this is just like a really, really long loom that I made. This at the bottom here, that's a sumac weave. And when it's done in, like, when you've got lots and lots of layers of it, it sort of looks like a braid, like certain, especially with this tissue paper, sort of interlinks, it looks like a braid, but it's not really. This has been a bit of card, which I've just folded to create more, so it takes up more space. And then we've also got like the bin bags. When they're sort of woven in a sumac way, they create a really lovely sort of density. It's quite thick. Okay, so where are we at? It's a really nice idea to play around with the rhythm and even like establish your own patterns. So I'm at the end of this strip, so I'm going to attach another bit, and it's just simply a matter of tying them on. There's a really clever way of just like hiding the knots if they happen like in the middle of your line. You're like, oh, I really just don't want a knot in the middle. At the end, you can just hide and tuck things away. Oh, thank you for the comments. Brilliant. So you can sort of establish your own rhythm. If you want to maybe go under two of them, you could go over and then under two of them. It's up to you. We've got some great comments. So we've got one that says that your recycling bags come in bright pink, which is amazing. I'm just incredibly jealous. And we've got one that says, I wonder if you could weave bells in. Definitely. So there's an opportunity to like weave more than just bits of fabric or stuff that you made today. You can weave, I'll show you an example. You can weave twigs in, you can weave different things in. This is a really, really little woven piece that I've included pom-pom in. Well, it's a bit hidden, but there's a pom-pom. I've then just gone a bit freestyle with a bit of wool on top and just tied in different textures and knots. I've also got a popsicle stick here, and I haven't taken it off of its loom. I've just sort of cut out a shape so you can see it, and it's got a card frame. And this might be quite a nice thing to pop in the post to someone. So if your weaves are quite small, they can be quite lovely and intimate objects. In terms of taking it off of the loom, it might be jumping ahead a little bit if you're still kind of mid-weave, but I'm just going to give you a few ideas of what to do once you're finished. In terms of taking it off the loom, maybe I'll just show you very quickly now. I think this one is finished. This took me quite a long time, so don't worry, there's absolutely no rush. But I think this, I'll fix that in a minute, but I think this weave is finished. So when you're finished, to take it off, you're very carefully going to slide the warp off. You can reuse the loom board as well, so you don't want to, or if you don't want to, you could just kind of go for it, and you don't have to be as delicate. And then so you've got these loops, and you're going to very carefully cut them. And this is why it then makes sense if you have an even number. So every loop has a partner, every end has a partner. And you're just going to tie it all the way across in a double knot. So this is how you finish your woven piece. Double knot. And then if you just do that all the way across, you've got a really lovely sort of neat line of little knots, and then you can then cut these down and hide the ends if you don't want to see. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I really like the idea. We've got a comment that says, I like the idea of making them as little gifts in the post. I like the idea. I mean, they seem to be quite compact, and they seem to... Yeah, so it's really up to you what you want to do with them. You can send them to a friend, you can hang them on your wall. It's up to you. You can frame them. You'd got a comment that says you'd love to get one in the post, or maybe this will be in the post to you. Great. So I guess those are all my tips on weaving. I guess the main thing is just to take your time. It's a process. I'm really impatient, so it's definitely a learning curve in terms of getting to know material and the textures. If you don't like a certain line, you can it's just as easy to take it out. So I definitely recommend just getting to know the materials and the textures and trying out lots of different things. Brilliant. So we would love to hear how your weaving turns out, what materials you've been using, what things you've been experimenting with, and please do let us know in terms of your creations by uploading photos, and feel free to tag us with @HelloTowner and with the hashtag #MakeshiftStudio. Just if the photos include anyone else other than yourself, just ask permission before you upload them. I'm going to carry on with this weave. I'm going to finish a couple of them that I've started, and I'm going to pop some in the post. So, thank you very much for the comments. So it was really, really lovely to see you all, and next week I'm going to be here for one more week, and we're going to explore the action of relaxing by making tools for our senses. So I hope to see you all next Thursday. The materials list will be uploaded on the Tuesday, so you can gather your bits beforehand. And in the meantime, if you'd like to revisit anything in terms of this session, any of the previous ones, feel free to look up the making guides and things on the Instagram, Facebook, or Town at Eastbourne's website. Cool, thank you so much everyone. Thanks, see you soon. Bye. How do I end this? Bye, thank you, see you next week. Thank you.